If you think making $10,000 in the very first launch of your creative teaching offering online is too good to be true, honestly, I get it. And I don't even blame you for thinking this way because society tacks on so many limiting beliefs on artists and creatives like us when it comes to making good money doing what we love doing the most. Worst of all is the starving artist myth. And I'm about to bust that myth for you because I'm about to show you exactly step by step how I made $10,000 in my watercolor membership and got 185 members in the very first official launch of it. And listen, my journey did not start with $10,000 launches. It actually started with exhaustion, undercharging, and relying on external platforms that did not value my worth or the value of my work. Until I realized that what was going to set me free was not to put more and more classes on external platforms like Skillshare and not to pump more and more content on social media, praying and hoping to go viral and that somehow feeds my business, but it was actually to get more strategic about my income streams, especially the one where I'm teaching my beloved watercolors and the joy I find in them. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 4 things that happened in my very first $10,000 launch of my watercolor membership. I'm going to show you how one freebie exploded my email list to 3,500 people in a matter of a few weeks. I'll show you the exact launch mechanism that took my membership from 0 to 33 founding members to then 185 paying students in that first launch. I'm also going to share the unexpected ripple effect that put me on the map as a global artist and a creative visionary. I'll also share with you why my real problem wasn't more followers or more viral content, but was actually the lack of a critical core component in any thriving art business. Now, this isn't going to be about grinding more on social media or having some sort of a special artistic talent or a panache for business because I certainly didn't have either of those. I started painting with watercolors when I was 24 and I quit my job to go full time as an art business owner in 2018. So when I was 25. This is going to be about a few simple shifts that you can start doing today to build your own thriving art business. And you're going to get the whole picture by the end of the video. So stick around and let's get right into it. So before I launched my watercolor membership on my own platform in July of 2020, I had my handmade supplies business, Blue Pine Arts, of course. I had started that in 2018. And then I was also traveling all around India and also in Europe to teach in person workshops. And as much as I loved all those travel opportunities and the chance to meet all the beautiful people in my community all around the world, I would actually return from these trips with literally zero profit and exhausted beyond belief. So when I sat down and I looked at how much energy and my own money was going into, traveling for all these workshops and all the physical work that I would put into that, and when I really looked at the ROI on it, it simply didn't make sense. So I had to make that very difficult decision to put a pause on in-person workshops. And that's when I decided to go all in on my online teaching income stream, which at that time was just my online classes on Skillshare. So from 2018 to 2020, I would just put classes upon classes on Skillshare. And to be honest, it wasn't even that bad in the beginning, in those glory days of Skillshare. I poured so much into those classes and it helped tens of thousands of people in my community, and they were really grateful for a chance to sign up. I actually drove so many people off of Instagram to Skillshare. And when I was putting all those classes out, I made this absolutely critical mistake of not getting some of the people from Skillshare onto my email list, which I'll talk about more, like my big blunder with email lists. But as I was saying in the beginning, it was really good because back in those days, I think the highest I made from Skillshare with my classes was $2,300. And then otherwise, it would sort of, my monthly income would hover around $1,200 to $1,300, which was not bad because you have to remember that at that time I used to live in India. So from the US dollar conversion to Indian rupees, it was really good money for my middle class living in the small town Belgaum, where I'm from and where the Blue Pine Art Studio is situated. So honestly, I had no reason to even think of creating my own platform and putting all the energy in there because things were working great and I was comfortable. But in March of 2020, the pandemic shut down Blue Pine Arts for about 5 months. If you know my story, you know about it. If you don't, then go back and watch the very first video I made on this channel in this channel and you'll know the whole story. But long story short, the pandemic shut down Blue Pine Arts because we couldn't ship anything out. And that's when I was like, oh, thank God, I have my online teaching revenue stream from Skillshare. And my, the minutes watched had actually increased because there were a lot of people sitting at home and tuning into Skillshare and watching my classes. And I was actually really happy that, wow, awesome. Like the minutes watched have increased. That means I'm going to get paid more this time. But at that moment when I needed that income the most, that's when Skillshare executives decided to slash their payouts. And that was a total kick in the gut sort of moment for me because that's when I realized that, oh my God, I've gone and put my revenue stream, a really big part of my revenue stream in my business, into someone else's hands. And I saw how someone else sitting in an office in the US was controlling my purse strings. And that was when I decided that things needed to change in my business. And I decided to jump ship and create my own platform, which thank God I did, because as much as I love Skillshare for the launchpad it gave me and the experience that it gave me and the chance it gave me to serve tens of thousands of people over there, since then, Skillshare has continued to slash payouts, and now my monthly payouts look like this. Even with rave reviewed 15 classes over there and with 26,808 students. But you know what? This wasn't even the worst part of it. For 4 years, I was teaching from 2018 to 2020, and I did not have an email list full of people who wanted to learn from me. I do not recommend this because I still cringe when I think about all the lost opportunities, all that lost stability in my business, and the hundreds of thousands of dollars that I left on the table simply because I did not build this crucial component. And the funny thing is, I had an email list for Blue Pine Arts. So that was, the list was full of people who wanted first dibs on our handmade paints and sketchbooks, but I didn't have a segment full of people who were interested in learning from me. All right, now we're getting into the meat of the story. So once I realized in March of 2020 that, oh my gosh, I need my own platform where I can control 100% of my income and 100% of my profits, in April, I started building my email list. And I did this by simply going on Instagram. At that time, I had 109,000 followers, or like something around 100,000 followers at the time. And Instagram in those days was still not as noisy as it is right now. So I just went on my stories and I knew I was going to launch a membership. So I built my email list by going on my stories and saying that I'm building a secret something. I'm building this secret space for artists who want to learn how to paint with watercolors and become thriving artists. But I'm only going to share it with the people on my email list. So join my BFF list with the link in my bio, all that sort of stuff. And I got about 500 people joining my list. But I do want to say over here that this strategy of saying I'm building a secret something, go click the link in my bio and join my list, it worked then, even though it wasn't that effective, but it still worked. Although I don't think it's that effective these days because everything has changed, people don't jump off of Instagram as quickly anymore just because that platform has become so, like, it just sucks people in and it's just designed to keep you on there for longer than you even want to. But if simply saying join my email list for update, it's working for you, then please let me know in the comments because I want to know who it's working for in 2026 and beyond. Once I built my email list to up to 500 odd people, I did a small founding members launch for my membership and I got 33 people signed up, which was just wild because the founding members launch or the founders launch, it works on this strategy where you go to a select intimate group of people in your community. So that would be your email list. And then you just share your vision and your idea with them, and then you invite them to get in at the ground level. So think of it like a Kickstarter, right? And if you want the full strategy of exactly how this founders launch works and how you get paid before you even go and create your teaching offering, then I've explained the full strategy in my free ebook. It's called Creative Teaching Stories. Grab it for free, the link in the description, go get it and start reading because it's full of all these awesome strategies and also stories of 6 amazing artists who are sharing all their launch tips and their journey. So you can see what's possible for you once you read those stories. All right, so now we're in May of 2020, and I've got 33 people signed up to my membership, and I'm elated because I'm like, whoa, like 33 people around the world took a bet on me and trusted me to create this. So I was fired up and I got to work on creating this membership and also building towards a full-fledged launch that I'd put it on my calendar to happen in July of 2020. So I worked my butt off from May to July in, first of all, serving my founding members and teaching them lessons and supporting them, but also creating the backend system, like setting up the tech. I bought Kajabi because that's where I wanted to host it. By the way, I'm no longer on Kajabi. I moved off of it to system.io, and that's another video why I moved off of Kajabi. But anyway, at the time, I started building all the components of the membership. And as I was doing that, I quickly realized that this way of getting people on my email list by just saying, hey, I have a secret thing, it can only work once, right? I needed a better way to build my email list where I knew that it's not just about building my email list either. It was also about helping my people in a deeper way. It was about showing them that I could help them in their watercolor journey. And it was about creating all these amazing mindset shifts in my people for free. So the next step was clear. I needed to create a killer freebie, but not just any freebie. It needed to be something that would immediately help and create big shifts in my people. At the same time, it also needed to show them that I'm capable of helping them deeper inside of a paid offering. And that's when I created my iconic resource called the Thriving Artist Roadmap. So if you're watching and if you're one of the OG people who got that ebook and watched that mini series, please let me know in the comments, okay? But if you don't know what it was a brilliant ebook that I wrote. And yes, I am praising myself because it was indeed an excellent piece of work. So I created this ebook that charted out 5 stages of growth for a watercolor artist, from being a complete beginner and novice to not even knowing how to enter the world of watercolors to becoming a fully established, thriving artist. And I gave each of those stages an avatar, and anybody who read the ebook, they could identify themselves in one of those 5 stages as one of those 5 avatars. And each of these stages also had the exact steps that they needed to evolve to the next stage of growth. So it was awesome, it was brilliant, it was filled with a lot of goodness. And along with that, I also created a video series that would go along with each stage of that growth inside of the Thriving Artist Roadmap. Which, in hindsight, it would have been okay if I didn't create that video series. That was just an extra added layer of complexity. And I was also like really confused and like, how am I using this video series during launch time again? And so it was just really muddled. And also, it was a lot of work. And looking back, I didn't need to create that work. The ebook was insanely transformational, and that was just good enough to go. So anyway, that freebie, the ebook combined with the video series, it grew my email list by more than 3,500 people in a matter of a couple of weeks. It was wild. And the added bonus was that those 5 stages of growth that my people were going to go through was the exact stages of transformation that they were going to have in my membership. So that's how I knew that this was working. So if you're creating a freebie, don't just go and create a random freebie that has no connection with your offer. Make sure that when you're creating a lead magnet, another word for freebie, You're creating something that's like a puzzle piece that solves one micro problem and creates all these belief shifts in your people, which then leads them to say, wow, I didn't even know that this was possible for me. I want more in your paid course or your membership. Anyway, I had proof that this was working and I was really, really stoked. Okay, now let's talk about the actual launch that followed. So in July of 2020, I launched my membership and I still remember falling violently sick with a stomach infection just days before launching. And it was so bad that I actually had to like move my launch date by like a week or something. And I had also severely underestimated the work that I had put into it. And I had also tacked on an unnecessary amount of work on my plate with that video series, which also took a lot in just filming, editing, putting it all together in Kajabi and like tying it together with the ebook. It was just and then like the marketing that came with that. It was a lot. But anyway, I felt sick really bad, moved my launch date, which by the way, if you ever launch anything and something happens, don't be afraid to move your launch dates and to tell your people because they're going to be supportive. You don't have to like go through the launch if you're just not able to go through it. It's fine to move dates. Anyway, that July, I opened the doors to my membership for 5 days. I think it was 5 days or 7 days, something of that sort. But this is called an open cart launch where you open the doors for a couple of days and then you close it down. So because the doors are closing, there's that ethical urgency and FOMO that gets created, and that gives people a deadline to sign up to your offering, or else they'll just have to wait until you open the doors again. Open the doors, and I just watched in shock, and I saw more and more people signing up. And I was like, where is this gonna go? I mean, even if I get like 10 or 15 members, I'm gonna be happy with it. But the numbers just kept climbing up. And it did slump in the middle though, and that's normal. Whenever you launch, especially a digital product or an online teaching product, you will see a slump in the middle because most people will sign up on the first day and on the last day. But that doesn't mean your marketing stops. And thankfully, I didn't stop my marketing. I kept showing up on my stories. I sent all the launch emails that needed to go out, that each launch email helped people get closer and closer to understanding that signing up was the right decision for them. And when I closed the doors, 164 people had signed up or something like that. So that plus my founding members, it added up to 185 paying members. And that launch generated $10,000 because people signed up. Some people signed up for monthly, some people signed up for the yearly plan. So, all in all, we generated $10,000. But you know what the sweetest thing was about this? Is that next month onwards, I started getting $4,000 of recurring revenue coming in because of that membership model. And that to me was just wild because I'd never ever expected this to happen. What I didn't know was that there were even more gifts that were in the pipeline once I launched this membership. Because a lot of creatives, when we think about launching a product, we just think about that product, but we don't really think about what ripple effect you putting your beautiful dream out into the world in a very concrete way. You don't know what ripple effect that creates. So, in my case, that unexpected ripple effect was that because I was doing this thing with my mentor Stu McLaren in his program, and I was sharing my wins and I shared my launch results with him and his community, it landed me on his personal podcast where he interviewed me and where I got to share my story, and then also on his online courses podcast where his team member interviewed me and my journey. So that was wild to have my story on his platform. And that just, I think about it and I still get mind blown. And if you think that was already really, really cool, you're not going to believe what happened next. So, my launch and my results and all the things that I was sharing about how I was launching and the details of it It even landed me in front of Stu's live event. It was called Tribe Live, and I think that happened in August or September of that same year. So it landed me on the stage in front of more than 3,000 global entrepreneurs, where I got to share the exact way that I used my Thriving Artist Roadmap to grow my email list. And it also got me an interview in my dear friend Emily Jeffords' membership. Talking about all of that stuff really just took me back to those exciting times. But now let's talk about the real problem that I was facing and how I fixed it. Before the pandemic shut down Blue Pine Arts and the whole Skillshare thing happened, and I had this awakening that wow, I really do need to have my own income stream, and I do need to control my own income and profits 100% on my own platform. The things I thought I needed to grow my business was more Instagram posts, better content, more followers, sell more products, just push, 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 just put more and more classes on Skillshare. But the real problem that I had in my business was that I did not have a buyer ready email list full of people who wanted to learn from me. I didn't have a repeatable launch strategy, and I was relying on external platforms thinking that, things would just run smoothly and nothing would ever happen in my business to really shut it down. Because honestly, like before the whole pandemic thing happened with Blue Pine Arts, we were soaring. We had an insanely successful holiday launch, and I was getting good money from Skillshare, and I thought everything was dandy in my business until literally overnight it was not. So once I fixed all those real problems that were there in my business, that's when everything changed. And here's why my launch worked and got me $10,000. There are three things that work for me. One is my killer freebie, my Thriving Artist Roadmap, because it called in the exact right fit people for my membership, and it solved their problems by giving them the exact steps that they needed to progress to their next level of growth. The second key is email is always going to beat social media. Because I owned my email list and because I had a direct communication line with my people in their inbox, I stopped chasing the algorithm. I stopped putting out daily content to keep pleasing that algorithm. In fact, I actually burnt out in this launch where I made $10,000, and that's a different story. And I burnt out so bad that I literally stepped away from Instagram for like 3 to 4 months, and I didn't even post content. Whereas prior to this whole thing happening, I couldn't even imagine stepping away from Instagram for 3 days. And if you still don't believe how powerful email lists are to your business, just today I had a consult call with a pattern designer who came to chat with me to see how we can help her launch her membership within my one on one program, Creative Course Launchpad. And you're going to be shocked to hear this. She has only about 900 followers on Instagram, and she barely posts there because she just told me like she hates Instagram. And so what she did is ever since she went full time with her pattern design business in 2021, she began building her email list. And today she has 1,300 people on her email list. And when she launched her first digital product, which was a pattern designer starter pack, I think she said it was, she made more than $3,000 just by launching it to her email list. So, seriously, if you're watching this like 2026 and beyond, and if you don't have an email list, the best time to start your email list was yesterday. Okay. The second best time is today. So, get on it. Create your killer Phoebe. Go. Okay, don't go, come back because I still have to share the third key that worked for me, which was my live launch strategy. And in this strategy, I opened the cart for my membership or my other courses for a couple of days. And it was a clear, repeatable launch strategy that I had that I used for the next 2 years and 8 months that the membership was there. And each time my launches grew from like $10,000 to $14,000. It added more people to my membership and it added more recurring revenue to my business. And when I combined that rinse and repeat launch process with authentic marketing, it took my people from, I'm just curious about your work. What do you do? What do you offer? To being like, take my money, let me into your membership. And it actually worked so well that when my membership doors were closed, I would get dozens and dozens of DMs from people on Instagram saying, hey, when are you opening the doors to your membership? I really want to join. Can you let me in now? So that was the level of magnetism that my online teaching offer created. And if you want to know the full financial impact of that membership, in 2020, because of it, my business crossed six figures USD for the very first time, in spite of Blue Pine Arts staying shut for over 5 months. And you have to remember that because of all of the ways that it put me on the map during that year, it actually brought in more customers and more orders for Blue Pine Arts as well, because obviously I use my own paints and my own products in my own creative practice. So it like ended up trickling down to Blue Pine Arts as well. And we made actually even more income and increased our average order value. And just when I thought that it could not get more awesome than that, in 2021, literally the next year, my business crossed multiple six figures in USD. And I remember our revenue when we closed down that year, that December 2021, was 255,000 US dollars. And because of like learning this one critical skill, my business has been in six figures Canadian dollars at least every year since 2021, because I'm not going to pretend that my business has just grown like exponentially, because that's not what business growth is like. It's never linear, but it has been in multiple six figures Canadian dollars at least, except for 2023, because that was the year that I battled a really dark mental health phase. And yeah, that affected my business. And that was the only year that it hasn't been in multiple six figures Canadian dollars. And when I'm talking about money, I really want to just like stay transparent with you guys and like show you the real journey. So yeah, 2023 was not the best year, but since then, yeah, this skill that I learned in launching has been absolutely invaluable in growing my business. So what does this mean for you? Right? You heard this whole story. How does it apply to your business? So let me give you a couple of steps. First things first, stop pouring all your energy in just creating free content and in just putting out classes on external platforms like Skillshare, Udemy, YouTube subscriptions, Instagram subscriptions. Because at the end of the day, you really need to take a look at what is your energy spent in this, right? And if you are spending this much energy in marketing your Instagram subscription or your Skillshare classes, why not do it for your own product hosted on your own platform where you can actually charge more and you get to retain 100% of the profits? Start by creating one high value freebie that attracts the right kind of people for your next paid offering that you want to launch. Then your next step is to create fewer pieces of educational high selling content on social media platforms, because I'm never going to say that you have to stop social media entirely. What I'm saying is you don't have to be there just grinding it out every day, hoping to go viral, but you just need to use strategic, high selling educational content that give a lot of value, but then use those pieces of content to add a call to action to direct people from Instagram to your email list, where you're giving them a call to action to get your freebie. So this way, you're actually using free content to build your email list. And over there, you get direct contact with your people where you get to nurture them more with your emails, where you get to tell your stories and also link your courses and your products. And you also get to do a launch every quarter or at least every 6 months to your paid offerings. And how do you do that? You do it by using a launch process where you give people an amazing learning experience. You create an event. My favorite one is to create really awesome action-based challenges. And then after you create this amazing experience, you invite all of the people who have participated in that experience to go deeper with you inside of your paid courses and your memberships. And this is honestly so effective. And trust me, people love being sold to in this way. And that's exactly what I help artists and creatives build inside of my one-on-one business consultation, Creative Course Launchpad, where I give them my exact rinse and repeat launch process, and I help them build everything from their aligned freebies to their strategic educational content to build their email list to learn how to market in an authentic way using your voice so that you stop copying your people and feeling, when you copy other people from your industry, you might think that it's working, but secretly your brain is always trying to compare to them. So we build the entire strategic launch system, and we also build the tech stack on the back end for the creatives that work with us so that they actually go from, oh, I have an idea for this course and this or this membership or even this retreat to actually putting it out there into the world and having 2 launches under their belt all in under 150 days. And we help you do this in a way without burning out. So if you're tired of opening your notes app and feeling guilty every time you see your beautiful course or membership idea just sit there in your notes and never seeing the light of the world, and if you want a rinse and repeat launch system that's bespoke and created for you and at the stage of business that you're in, because not every launch system works for everybody. And especially if you just want to stop spinning in circles thinking about what platform should I use, and how do I link it all together, then book a free consult call with me. I've left the link in the description, and let's see how we can map out your next launch where, who knows, you might also have a much bigger launch than you ever expected, just like I did in my first $10,000 launch. And if you want to see the exact 4-phase launch system that I personally use now to have $10,000 to $40,000 launches, and that we've had 100% success rate with instead of Creative Course Launchpad, because every single creative that has worked with us has 100% gone out and put their courses and memberships and retreats out there and gotten paying students, then I've created a free video walkthrough for you where I peel apart those 4-phase processes and I show you exactly how to build a buyer-ready email list, how to use educational content to grow your email list, and how to use a rinse and repeat launch system. And I've left that link in the description as well, so go grab it for free. Now that you've learned the key shifts that have helped me go from making an average of $1,200 on Skillshare to making multiple 6 figures from my online teaching, and if you're sitting there wondering, yes, I know some of this stuff, but why isn't money flowing smoothly into my business? Then you're gonna wanna watch, can't say it. You're gonna wanna watch my next video. Oh my God. And one thing that I've completely forgotten to say in all of my videos till now, please hit that like button and subscribe if you want more videos where I share with you the real, raw, honest truth of how I built my multiple 6-figure art business. Alrighty, thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I'll see you over in my next video. Please? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Oh shit, I don't have my water bottle. Satsuki, sit. Satsuki, sit. Satsu, sit. Sit. Good job. Actually, I'll get you a blanket. Wait. I knew it. I knew it. Come here. I got you the blanket, no? Oh my gosh, and before I forget to say this yet again in my video, please like and subscribe and follow me along. I don't even want to say it. When am I going to stop worrying about if my videos are long enough or not? I really need to stop worrying about this, right? Because the people who are genuinely interested in like learning the whole story, they'll want to watch it, right? Yeah. People have attention spans. I'm going to choose to believe that people have attention spans for the things that they're interested in. Okay, let's wrap it up. I have a coaching call now.